the top somehow. I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on.
Yes, my Straight Talk family, it's that time when I should be saying good night, and I will say good night to my entire Straight Talk family in St. Kitts and Nevis, and my Straight Talk family throughout the entire Caribbean region. To my Straight Talk family in the Kittitian and the Division diaspora, all over the world. I know that some of you are in Africa, there's some of you in Asia, there's some of you in Europe, and there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I can't say good morning. I will say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. Perhaps just relaxing tonight and logged on to Facebook, logged on to YouTube, and for those of you here in St. Kitts and perhaps find a appeal as well, you are on Win FM 98.9 radio. That's our partner station. Straight Talk, if you're joining me for the first time, is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let's in the process continue to keep St. Kitts and Nevis as one of the freest countries in the entire world. On this program, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And again, for the first timers, Straight Talk is an all-inclusive program. By that, we include your calls, we include your emails, and if you're so minded to call, the numbers are 646-829-6672. That's an overseas number. And for the local callers, you can just dial 663-6672. For those who like the cloak of anonymity, our email address is straighttalkpatches. That's straightalkpatches@gmail.com. And tonight, on a solemn note, I extend condolences to head teacher or former principal Leroy Pemberton from Keon, and I understand he has gone to the great beyond. He's left a great legacy in the field of education in Keon and wider field, and I strongly recall as well he did in fact serve in East Bastille at the Seventh-day Adventist primary school. I also want to extend condolences to his family, Enver and his brothers and his sister, and the entire family, as a matter of fact, of the Pembertons over there in Keon. I also heard, sadly, the sad news of the passing of Calvin Edwards. I used to call him the unelected Minister of Finance, because he really acted as the Minister of Finance, in my view, for years, served over 30 years as the Deputy Financial Secretary for years, and Calvin surely was missed, even when he was on sick leave for a long time, and I think he did in fact resign, but he's somebody I will always remember. I'm sure those who came into contact with him will remember him as well. He's gone to the great beyond, and we extend condolences to their respective families and friends, and to all those who may have lost loved ones that they may not have heard about. I do want to assure them that our hearts and prayers are with you, and just to remind you that death is a process. At 8 minutes past 8 o'clock, again, we want to just move quickly into our observations in review. And that's a time when we reflect, we ask questions, we ask what has been accomplished, how has it helped others, what has changed since, and what can be expected as well. These are some of the questions that we ask. And my Straight Talk family, they are important as well that we ask these questions. And our first observation, I am informed that the government paid a $2,000 honorarium to its quote-unquote frontline workers sometime last week. Sometime last week, we understand that this honorarium was paid, and some are happy, others are not, but at least we can give the Jew administration some form of credit for keeping its promise. It said it was going to pay the honorarium to the workers, and they did. But for those who were left, for whatever reason, they should be given consideration, is the most that I can say. But we understand that an honorarium of some $2,000 was paid to frontline workers. There seemed to have been some difficulty in really classifying who in fact were frontline workers. But we'll hear much more about that in time to come. And there's no end of sight for our water problems, yet the new government and the new minister are silent. They are conspicuously silent with respect to a resolution to this problem. And subsequent cessation to the daily rationing in Bird Rock, in Frigate Bay, St. Peter's, Kean, or as a matter of fact, all over the island-wide to be exact. So we're still having our water woes, as we would like to say. Now, Straight Talk is also looking with keen interest and would like to hear the economic plans of the Jew administration regarding the impact of inflation worldwide. The ongoing Russian-Ukraine war is still negatively impacting the world as well. So as Parliament convenes its first sitting tomorrow, following the August 5th election, Straight Talk also anxiously awaits the content of the throne speech and the measures that would be taken by this new administration. Meantime, inflation protests have erupted all over the world.
Protests have erupted across Europe as the decades-high inflation. A coalition of unions called for a nationwide strike, trying to capitalise on the anger. The protest follows weeks-long industrial action at French oil refineries as workers demand higher wages. In Italy, protesters targeted skyrocketing gas and electricity prices. They were carrying signs saying, "We won't pay." Higher energy prices are fuelled by the war in Ukraine as the EU seeks to wean itself off Russian gas that used to supply 40% of the continent. In Spain, pensioners took to the streets demanding higher pensions and better salaries in the face of higher inflation. Spanish consumer prices rose 8.9% year on year in September. Spain's inflation has been fuelled by soaring food and non-alcoholic beverage prices, which grew 14.4%. That's the fastest pace since 1994. In Hungary, thousands of students have rallied behind their teachers as they strike for higher wages. Teachers are also demanding a solution to a deepening shortage of teachers. Some striking teachers have been fired for participating in the protests, while others receive warning letters from the Education Office. And you can see here, those letters are currently being burned.
And yes, my Street Dog family, protests have also erupted in Asia in relation to the issues that have derived from the inflation that's biting economies all over the world.
Thousands of people have been taking to the streets of Indonesia's biggest cities. There's widespread anger and despair. How to cope with soaring inflation, afford a meal, pay for fuel. The demonstrators are demanding another increase in the minimum wage for next year. Trade unions warn the protests could continue until December and could include strikes.
Fuel price hikes make us scream. That's the message students here in the province of Aceh want to send to their government. All across Indonesia, labor unions and students staged protests against higher fuel prices, even occupying the regional parliament in Aceh.
It's a huge burden. It would normally cost €1.40 to use public transport for the whole day. Now it's only good for a one-way trip to school. Many of our parents catch fish for a living and depend on cheap fuel prices.
If the fuel prices stay high, the price of groceries will go up too. People's income is still very low, so we demand the government to reverse their decision.
Suffice to say, however, to those in authority, despite the water shortage in St. Kitts, we are part of the global village. So I want to implore those in authority, be reminded that when your neighbor's house is on fire, wet yours. We seem to be taking it lightly, that inflation, food prices, energy prices are just skyrocketing, but we here going about things as they are normal. And finally, in terms of our observation review, Straight Talk is still awaiting further information regarding the issue as it relates to the managing director of the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank, my good friend Arnaldo Bailey, who according to him was asked to resign, but has requested, and rightly so, that the relevant authority must follow the terms of his contract. And this is what we learned, Arnaldo said.
I have a contract. The contract has not expired. The contract can be terminated by either party. There are conditions, so that's what it is. So if it is that the relevant and I'm quite careful here, the relevant authority wants for me, or they want me out of here, then they just follow the contract simple. Once they don't violate the terms of the contract, well, I'm good. I don't have a difficulty with that, and that is my position. And again, just to clear up, I mean hearing that, well, I was appointed by the government. That's not the truth. Anybody who want to check, they will find out that's not the truth.
But everything that's fabrication seems to make headline news. You heard so many things about this, but as Naldo said, he has a contract, so follow the terms of his contract, and he has no issue at all with that. And those are our observations, beg your pardon, in review for tonight. And I'll go right into my thesis for tonight, because the time is moving on. And my thesis for tonight, however, is entitled Brantley is a Threat to Democracy. And growing up as a young boy, quite often I heard the adage, once a man, twice a child. And it came to my mind, or it came to mind recently, I should say, when I learned that Mark Brantley was appointed leader of His Majesty's opposition. And I reflected. It was after the 2004 election, the late Premier Vance Amory commanded the majority support on the opposition benches, but Vance ceded his lofty important position to his deputy, the late Malcolm Gishard. Gishard died 3 years later, in 2007, and this triggered a by-election for the federal seat in Nevis 9. Much to the great surprise of many, Vance recruited a devout secessionist called Mark Brantley to contest the seat for CCM, which he won in 2007. Vance offered the same courtesies to Brantley, who then became the leader of Her Majesty's opposition back in 2007. Fast track to 2022, and the CCM holds most seats on the opposition benches. But Mark is now the Premier of Nevis. And as the saying goes, once a man, twice a child. But he grabs the lofty position in Parliament, and 15 years later, once again, becomes, this time, the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition. Now you may ask, why provide this extensive background information? But I did so in order to demonstrate the selflessness of the man Vance Amory, the late Vance Winkworth Amory. Furthermore, Vance told me he never wanted to stand in the way of the government. And yes, he was always strong in the view that the federal election was to elect the St. Kitts government, and he said so publicly. This is what the late Vance Amory is on record as saying what he feels about the Constitution and the St. Kitts government.
Nevis has a local government which looks after Nevis affairs in every aspect except for foreign affairs. St. Kitts does not have the same government. It means that the federal government, in effect, is the St. Kitts, or the government of St. Kitts. And they were not, the federation system, the involvement of Nevis only came into effect when the numbers turned up the way they turned up. And I think we have to recognize that. We're looking at numbers, but we're not looking at a system which has a local government in Nevis, none in St. Kitts, and where the federal government acts, in effect, as the St. Kitts local government. And I think we must not let that down. I think if we can accept that, then all the discussions, all of the questions would then have to cease at that.
And yes, he's right. The federal government and the federal elections are designed to elect the government of St. Kitts. And Prime Minister Drew will soon find that out, if Douglas has not told him as yet. When he prepares the next budget estimates, for example, it would address revenue and expenditure for St. Kitts. Or rather, I should say, the only reference you'll find, if Drew keeps it, as was introduced by the Harris administration, the budgetary support for Nevis. That's all will be there for Nevis. But again, my thesis tonight is entitled Brantley is a Threat to Democracy. As my point of departure, I first reminded you that Brantley started his political journey as leader of the opposition. Some 8 years later, he became a member of the federal government, and everyone anticipated that he would grow into political maturity. Before long, though, he wrestled the position of premier from Vance Amory. And that story has not been told, because Vance has gone to the great beyond. He told me the story, but he never gave me the authority to tell the story publicly. But he wrestled the position of premier from Vance Amory. Before long, Brantley lost credibility, and now he has once again become the leader of the opposition. Brantley said he looked forward to taking up that position in the National Assembly. He looked forward to taking up that position in the National Assembly. Do you believe him?
I have been named by instruction of October. I was appointed leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition, and certainly look forward to taking up that position in the National Assembly.
Yes, he says he looks forward to taking up that position in the National Assembly. But Brantley did not hesitate to declare his intention. And what did he declare? Would you believe this?
My intention is to fight as I've always fought for the people of Nevis, and to engage respectfully with whoever occupies the chair of Prime Minister in Bastille, to say to them that the people of Nevis deserve to be treated equally in this federation, deserve their fair share of the resources of the federation, and deserve the full fruits of their citizenship. I have said it, and I will continue to say it, that there are no second-class citizens here on the island of Nevis.
So who would fight for St. Kitts? If the leader of the opposition said he intends to fight for Nevis, so who would fight for St. Kitts? That's a fair question to ask, because the strength of our democracy cannot be judged by the strength of the Jew Labour government. Instead, it must be judged by the strength of the opposition. Brantley then must be considered a sure and definite threat to our democracy. Writing in the Indian Journal of Political Science, Devendra Kumar opined that parliamentary democracy is the best form of government, because in this system there is a scope for the people to reflect their wishes and grievances through their elected representatives on the floor of the House. As Kumar so ably and simply put it, the essence of parliamentary democracy basically lies in the fact that the majority has its way and the minority has its say. So how can we remain silent when the party now occupying the government benches in the National Assembly campaigned on the theme, "Get rid of them"? And it is really sad to see that since coming into office, its only focus is on getting rid of their opponents by employing insidious attempts to personally destroy many who have helped by their sweat and tears to build this country. These iniquities are happening in St. Kitts. So will the leader of the opposition turn a blind eye and just fight for the people of Nevis? Will he be okay? Or will it be okay to have second-class citizens on St. Kitts? We must ask Mark Brantley. As a matter of fact, who will speak for the almost 13,000 persons that did not vote for Labour and CCM combined on St. Kitts Nevis? Many of us don't want to talk about it, and we believe that the young people do not care. But we are fooling ourselves when we peddle nonsense about Kittitians and Nevisians have rediscovered each other, and we have rediscovered each island. Nothing but absolute rubbish, nothing but nonsense, my straight-up family. We discovered what and when?
I have come to recognize more than ever that each other, and we have rediscovered each island. Nevis had become the go-to island for Kittitians, and St. Kitts had become the go-to island for Nevisians. You have people from St. Kitts who say, let's catch the boat and go over Nevis for dinner or lunch. And Nevisians over there say, let's go past there, go buy some Kentucky Fried Chicken.
What an insult to Kittitians and Nevisians. And some of us, because of political expediency, we continue to bury our heads in the sand and ignore the potential conflict or the potential strife within the Federation. We made Kennedy Simmons a national hero and the only living one ever for doing what was convenient for him to maintain power in 1983 rather than doing what was morally right. Today, 39 years after, there is still anger and bitter disagreement over fundamental issues within our Constitution. Furthermore, in 1984, Simmons, along with his ambassador extra plenipotentiary, the late Billy Herbert, launched the now oldest citizenship program in the world, and we commend them. Dr. Drew promised a new day and a better way. And according to his AG, the CBI is being restructured. According to his AG Wilkin, the CBI is now being restructured.
Nevis has a local government which looks after Nevis
You have most of the cabinet
affairs.
We understand the importance of the Citizenship by Investment program. It's been in place since 1984. We are proud of its successes. We have benefited from its successes, and we want it to be maintained. We want it to be administered properly, legally, and we are currently restructuring. A lot of things just weren't done right, and you wonder why. We're going to do things right. With the CBI, because we see its importance, we want to do it right.
We want to do it right. Tell the truth, or I will tell you the truth, as I have always done. My people, Abba, no better than Saba. I say so because just on the weekend, I saw a flyer therein advertising our CBI at a roadshow that will apparently include Her Excellency Roslyn Hazel, Ambassador at Large for St. Kitts, Nevis, and Canada. And of all places, Nigeria, one of the most corrupt countries in West Africa, or in fact, one of the most corrupt countries perhaps in the world, my stray dog family. And I am troubled, very troubled by that.
Yes, the 10th of October, I was appointed.
My stray dog family, I must apologize for this mix-up tonight. I'm probably getting too anxious. What's going on? I'm giving you the wrong things all the time. But here's what I want to tell you about Nigeria, or for you to listen to about Nigeria in terms of its corruption. And they're not going to China anymore. They're not going to Russia, it seems. They're now going to Nigeria. What's so special about Nigeria, one may ask? I ask you the question, what is so special about Nigeria, my people?
The latest ranking released by Transparency and scored lower in number of points than in its previous year's record. This indicates that corruption is perceived to have worsened in the country within the last 1 year.
According to this latest ranking, Nigeria is now the second most corrupt country in West Africa, with Guinea-Bissau the only country more corrupt than Nigeria in the sub-region. In Africa, only 12 countries are perceived to be more corrupt than Nigeria: Zimbabwe, Chad, Eritrea, Burundi, Congo, Libya, Equatorial Guinea, Sudan, while Somalia and South Sudan are ranked the most corrupt nation on earth.
My stray dog family, that is how the Jew administration restructured the CBI. They've now taken a roadshow to one of the most corrupt countries in West Africa, Nigeria. Yes, under Jew, a new day and a better way. And please, nobody called me to tell me anything about Roslyn Hazel. For full disclosure, Roslyn is my friend. Roslyn is my friend, I confess. But we talk Chinese, we talked about Russians, but Denzel Douglas, remember, always had a special bond with Nigeria and Nigerians. Don't talk about Libya. I asked Prime Minister Drew about the 1,500 citizenship applications he signed since taking office, and he has not responded. The country needs to know how many economic citizens have our passports, and that too is a state secret. We hear that there are more than 30,000 passports already sold under the program since 1984. The country needs to know, else we run the risk, like we read in the book of Exodus. These economic citizens may come or will come like locusts and swarm over the whole land of St. Kitts and Nevis, settling in dense swarms from one end of the Federation in St. Kitts to another end in Nevis. It would be the largest incursion of foreign citizens, or as the Bible says, the worst locust plague in the Federation's history. We want to know how many economic citizens have our passports. And I will repeat that. I am disappointed with those in the media. As I said some years ago, there's corruption in the media. And I repeat it tonight, there is corruption in the media. The media, or the fourth estate, should be the voice of the masses. The media in St. Kitts Nevis, sorry to say, some of us are acting like palace guards for this new government and allowing it to continue to politic instead of conducting the policy and affairs of the country. So often you hear about treasury rapists or some dark, deep hole where money was going to. Well, if you have information, make it public. Put people on the spot. But when we honestly reflect as Kittitians and Nevisians, we all concur, for example, that the past 7 years in the political life of the Federation, the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis has never been better. We have confessed that the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis has never been better. We heard that, and I'm sure we know that, and we very well believe that, because that relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis was really, really good for the last 7 years. And how can we deny that? Who can deny that? We won't, I'm sure. Otherwise, no one would actually take us seriously.
You have most of the cabinet of the federal government here, and they have come, and they clearly have come over from St. Kitts. And their very presence here is an indication of the first point I want to make, which is that the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis has never been better. It is the best that it has been in the history of this country. That does not mean that it is perfect, because no relationship, even that between your husband and wife, is always perfect. But it is the best that it has been. And as someone who is in the middle of it, both from the Nevis end as Premier and sitting in the federal cabinet, I can tell you that there has been a genuine effort to meet the needs of all the people of the country and to provide in a way that all the people of the country can benefit. And I think that that, more than anything else, is to me of tremendous significance.
My people, what went wrong, you may ask? And that's a genuine question. But the lust for power and greed for money caused the demise of the Team Unity administration. When the history books are written, they would note that Sean Richards could not wait any longer, as he relished the opportunity to become the first Prime Minister from Sandy Point, and he made that public pronouncement to the world.
We intend to continue to work with CCM. Additionally, as I make my bid for the next Prime Minister of this federation, I ask for the full support of CCM. It is my intention to be the 4th Prime Minister of this country. I intend to be the first Prime Minister from Sandy Point.
Mark Brantley, on the other hand, was all about money. Sean wanted power, Mark Brantley wanted money.
When we talk about the benefits to the people of Nevis from this arrangement, it's not just talk. When I look at what the SIDF that has now been made available to Nevis, and the federal government under the caring leadership of Dr. Timothy Harris has done, I see that in less than 2 years, the people of Nevis have been the direct beneficiaries of some $113.36 million.
Mark Brantley spoke great things about Timothy Harris because he was getting money. Mark Brantley, therefore, as the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition, will now be like a big rattlesnake in the parliament. And I use that metaphor to warn Prime Minister Drew that Brantley is always a hidden danger. For that reason, I must add that Mark Brantley is a sure and definite threat to democracy in St. Kitts and Nevis. How could the leader of the opposition only fight for Nevis? If Brantley understands his role as the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition, he must chair meetings in which the opposition discusses policies, examines bills, and presents alternative strategies or plans to those of the government. The leader of the opposition is also expected, amongst other duties, to always act as the chief opposition spokesperson. Democracy is said to be incomplete without opposition. If there is no opposition, there is no democracy. The opposition is the very breath and soul of any democratic setup. The opposition is key to a functional democracy. The opposition is expected to provide an alternative government or an alternative to government policies and or actions. The opposition must scrutinize the government and hold it accountable for its decisions. Nothing Mark Brantley says should convince us when he says he will do his best. Mark said he will do his best. Do you believe him?
I propose to do my best. I think people would know that we would have undertaken this last election as a one movement construct, that there was a high degree of cooperation between us, that we had committed, that the Honorable Sean Richards would be supported as Prime Minister if the number of seats were obtained. Unfortunately, that did not happen. And the People's Action Movement was not able to hold on to the seats that they had, the 4 seats, or to pick up any additional seats, but instead they lost ground and lost all but 1 seat. And so that is the hand that we've been dealt, and we now have to pick up the pieces and move on.
Pick up the pieces and move on. As one friend told me, Sean destructed, but Mark is constructed. Mark pointed to Labour's 1-seat majority as well. So he's looking around carefully.
The people of St. Kitts and Nevis decided that they would give the Labour Party a majority of the seats. They have a simple majority. They only have a 1-seat majority, 6 out of 11. And therefore, they have to manage that very carefully and ensure that in the Parliament they bring legislation, they bring policies and programs that we can all support and get behind.
Mark pointed to the 1-seat majority. And because of this slender majority, Prime Minister Joe feels that he needs Mark to repel Douglas. But Mark has run Nevis broke. So he feels that he needs Joe to pay his bills. Imagine, $53 million in deficit. Work it out. If the Federation has to pay his bills, every one of us would be owing $1 million. Every one of us, including our children. So he already started begging. He started begging, so Prime Minister Joe, to him, is a man of his word. Nice words. And that's always Mark. You remember what he said about Timothy?
You asked about
that's what he said about Joe.
Well, that Prime Minister Drew on 2 or 3 occasions during this press conference, because as I said, thus far, he has been a man of his word. Thus far, in terms of our discussions and the issues, he has responded positively.
Yes, he's a man of his word. Because the CCM has started his campaign for the upcoming general elections. Just on the weekend, they went to the USVI. They've started their campaign.
So St. Thomas, Friday night. Victor's Hideout, starting at 6 p.m. Tortola, Saturday night. Maria's by the Sea, starting at 6 p.m. And Sunday, we will be at Blue Bamboo, formerly known as Drive-In, and that is in St. Croix, starting at 5 p.m. on Sunday.
So yes, he has started their campaign. And don't forget, my Straight Talk family, that in the federal elections, approximately 1,000 persons were brought in for the federal elections and voted in Nevis? Are the Russians going to pay for these upcoming trips of overseas voters? Or is the NIA using the money received from St. Kitts to travel to North America? They're heading as well to North America.
For those who are in North America, the United States, and Canada, we will be making some other announcements soon, but this weekend is all about the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and so we look forward to engaging with you. We have a rigorous schedule that we have worked out to touch and reach everyone.
And you ask yourselves, where all this money suddenly is coming from? The NIA under Mark Brantley tabled a deficit budget, a $98 million deficit. All of a sudden, he gets a letter from Jew. He starts his geothermal. He's building roads. These political expedient ways has just come about. But I close with this warning to Prime Minister Jew. Examine closely what Mark said about Timothy Harris. Examine closely what Mark said about Sean Richards. Be careful and examine what he said as well about Denzel Douglas. But Mark will always be Mark. And examine what he just said recently, my Straight Talk family. It's not a matter for him. According to him, it is a matter for them. A matter for them, my Straight Talk family. That's the Mark Jew will come to learn about.
We have a new government, and we must now pick up the pieces, and we must now move on, leaving to the scrap heap of history those who took whatever decisions they took that have put them where they now find themselves. That is a matter for them. That is not a matter for me. I have been very clear, and the CCM has been pellucid, that our goal is to advance the people of Nevis.
My Straight Dog family, I can only conclude that Mark Brantley is a definite threat to our democracy. We cannot trust that big rattlesnake. Is dangerous. It's 11 before the 9 o'clock hour. Those are my views. What are your views about the leader of the opposition? Shouldn't the leader of the opposition be the spokesperson for all on the opposition benches? Shouldn't the leader of the opposition be the spokesperson for the over 13,000 people that did not vote for Labour? How could the leader of the opposition decide that his intention is to represent Nevis? Then that surely is a clear and definite threat to the people of this federation and to our democracy. I'll open the lines and entertain your calls. Before I do so in a few seconds, I always like to implore you to respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things we say and do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in saying and or doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. The numbers again are 663-6672 and or 646-829-6672. My Straight Dog family, the lines are open. The email address as well for those who like what I call the cloak of anonymity. You can contact the program via our email platform, which is Straight Talk Patches, I should say, gmail.com. Do you believe that the leader of the opposition as premier should just be concerned about fighting for Nevis? Do you believe he understands his role? These are some of the questions come to us. And as we go in to tomorrow and the first sitting of Parliament, do you expect anything from this new government? I don't. I don't. But if Brantley understands his role, as I said, then he must chair meetings in which the opposition discusses policies and plans and presents alternative strategies, examine bills, and presents alternative plans to those of the government. That's what an opposition is about. Do you believe that we need an opposition? These are some of the issues we must ask ourselves tonight. And my Straight Talk family, I want to hear from you. Let's go to the lines. Caller. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Caller, you're live.
Blessed night to you, the brother of Africa and of Newtown. How your night is going?
I am peaceful, my brother. What about yours? Grass Isle.
Good evening, and I'm here just listening to your program with the informative information you share into the general public and the world at large. So I say thank you for those value information you bring to the floor tonight.
My pleasure, thanks.
And I would like to say good night to your listeners via radio and internet. So your Straight Talk program. So we realize that you say the premier, who is now the leader of the opposition, is indicating that his only interest is about safeguarding for Nevis.
Sure.
As a representation in the House of Parliament, where he is the leader of the opposition that indicates the fight for all Nevis and Singis people, not just Nevis alone. So I hope you understand his role. When he do go in, when they do go and start to talk about legislation and policy making. Because if you think about his own self and Nevis people, so he have a long waiting along for him with the ignorance where he composing with. He come in and why them they feel like they're a brilliant with it. Like remember he just get a doctorate for using all it to me. I remember that he just got a doctorate, so he's making sure his word is passed with his doctorate levels. So I hope he ain't get overzealous and feel like only he alone a word and he could be creative to his own demise. Well, let me tell the premier and who is the leader of the opposition. If you're going into the parliament sitting, me talking about tomorrow charade, his picture up and all them chopping his step. That ain't really setting for the groundwork of Singis and Nevis. Let me look at the groundwork of Singis and Nevis. This administration was in now said to the people of Singis and Nevis that when they go in, they will make sure they feed the information to the public. They will make sure that the legislation they bring is applied with what the nation and the people need to know about going forward in governance. You see? So, Mr. Leader of Opposition, you better look at your level that you say. You were once opposition leader already, and now you're an opposition leader again. I don't know what you want to say. So, His Majesty loyal opposition. Let me say, the people loyal opposition, not His Majesty. The King Charles is so good, he got it. It's the people now, because you're representing the people, not those cooks up in London who thief in wealth every year and every time. So let us put this thing straight after that. Give thanks. May you have a joyful night in your discussion, and the message that you bring out, the people understand how to go forward and develop the moments of things and needs as one. 2 little island, 1 federation. Let me defend our people in dignity. Give thanks. Blessed love.
Give thanks, my brother. Always so informative in terms of your interventions. And The question you ask as well that would arise is, should a premier of Nevis really should be opposition leader? That's another question. In Vance Amy's time, may rest in peace, he actually gave up that to his deputy Malcolm Gishard. But let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Good evening, Touches.
Good evening, my dear brother. Culture.
How you doing?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Okay. The radical man is peaceful. King, have a good night. Why? I don't know if that is a 6 or 2-6. But your leg are good punch the wire. That is according to what you played tonight here with the man Mark Brantley. When he said that he is the he's the leader of the His Majesty opposition. Right. I ain't surprised the way he with the words where he say that he representing Nevis. He's supposed to be the leader of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, not just the CCM or Nevis. But it's only what inside could come out. If something ain't in your belly, it can't come out. He's fighting to see if he could get to secede Nevis from St. Kitts. That is always on his mind. So don't be surprised when he say about that he fighting for Nevis. So what happened to St. Kitts? We're going to represent us. We are part of the opposition. Even though he used to boast and brag and boast and say and tell Dr. Harris that Dr. Harris is in the checkout lounge. But where he be? Where he be? He got the boarding pass and he in the checkout lounge too. When you dig in a hole for one, make sure where you be is solid that you don't fall in. Look where he is now. And he don't want to represent the position of opposition leader. He don't want to represent that. Because he's a secessionist, and that is all he wants to get from Dr. Juno. Once he get enough money that he could see well, then he could push Nevis, then he called for secession. But he ain't gonna work, so. He can't work, so. He ain't work 1998, and he ain't gonna work 2022. Never happened. And Dr. Joe, like Patches played tonight here, and everybody warning you, you're new to the system, and watch out for the snake. Watch out. He wanted Sean. He said he would have worked with Sean to be the next Prime Minister. Sean had a golden opportunity. And then what he wanted was to be the Minister of Finance. So when he get the Minister of Finance, then he would do what he want, and then he will tell Sean, look man, you got to move because blah 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 and blah blah blah. But Sean, I'm very sorry for you. Okay. Because you listen to he, and he puts stupidness in your head and make you lose your track that you were on. You were going good. Very good, Sean. You were going good. 5 years, 6 years. 6 years and 7. You're going good. And he come now and interject nonsense, foolishness, and pull you down. Knock out the one bird out your hand, and he got 2.5, and he can't give you peace. So we had to have Mr. Sean. But if I had a chance to talk to you, I believe I would have convinced you not to study all of them people who come around you. Instead of they encourage you to do what is right, they encourage you to do what is wrong, and see where you are now. And not one of them could help you. Patches, I will come back again. Thank you. So long.
Have a good night. Thanks for your input. We go straight back to the lines. It's right on the top of the hour. 9 o'clock. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Patches.
Yes.
Patches.
Yes, Major. How art thou?
Patches.
Yes, Major.
This is the Major. You know his voice, eh?
I recognize the voice. I recognize the voice.
Yeah. No, you know that I like to ask a certain question, because you're your tongue man. So all those is up there. Here's the question I'm going to ask you. My friend. What stimulates your interest in politics? Then I want to know, is it that the more you study it, the harder you find it. Harder you find it. It is to be. Is it you believe in mythology and tradition? Where the mythology is like you believe in a particular person or culture. Answer me that, man. Answer me that. God, answer your second.
You asked me a very complicated question.
No, that's not complicated.
I'm using some big words there, me. Right? Meta what?
That's mythology and a big word. That's not malapropism. That is not malapropism.
You know. I carried my grandmother's bench to the park when we ever had meetings, as a young boy. So the interest was aroused since I was a little adolescent. I could put it that way, But so I got interested, and I love my country. It's about love for your country.
Yes.
And that's why you probably served in the defense force for almost 50 years.
Yes, man.
Not long? A little longer.
Yeah. That's about it, because I went in there as a young boy, from a recruit right up,
Right. So
come to the rank. Come to the rank.
You're patriotic,
Very patriotic. You see? And you see, this is the thing that it ain't bothering me, right? But you see, we are trying to get something good. But you know how people are with. That is why I asked you, it is you stimulated your interest in politics. Well, and the more you study it, the harder you get to me and you, right?
Well, it's about the governance of the country,
Yes,
you're a soldier, and you're a man of discipline, so you're sticking for correctness,
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about the leader of the opposition
well, boy, the PDP, I can't understand that. I don't understand. Up to now, I can't understand it. If you are the premier of a place, well, and now you're going to come the leader of the opposition. How you going to defend your case? How you going to defend it? Tell me how. In the house, how you going to defend that? Who you going to be talking to? Who you going to be talking for? You or your party or your going to thing? Who you talking to? Let's say, how you understand it? You might know. That's why I asked you.
He said he's talking for Nevis, so I wonder who going to talk for St. Kitts.
That's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making,
Because there are thousands that did not vote for Labour and CCM combined. I mean, thousands of people. So whose voice do they have? Who will represent them in the parliament?
No. That's why I asked if it is a particular culture or a person, you understand? Mythology, right? I want to be a particular culture or a person. That's all.
Major fallout.
Okay, then, thank you. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks for your input. Thanks for your input.
Okay.
Major. Thanks for your input.
Okay.
That's Major Jones, celebrated soldier, I call him, But here's that. We go back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Yes, good evening, Patrice. It's a hard one. I can't find your tall.
You look for me?
Yeah, I can't find your tall. I call you and answer back your message.
That's true.
But politics is just like religion. Because even the churches, the minister them behave just like the politicians them. Yeah. So no excuse to none of them.
Not in my church.
Yeah. And you have a blessed message, Jody. Not in my... Politics belong to the devil. Still.
Okay, my dear sister. From down west there. You said politics is for the devil, that's what you said? My Straight Talk family, it's 9:05. I head straight back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Patrick.
My dear brother, how are you?
Patrick, good night.
Good night, Jamdon. How art thou?
I'm fine. Patrick, before I get into my debate with you, I want to sing a song. Hey, rich man, won't you please give up? Tell me where you get it. Hey, rich man, did you hear what I said? Tell me where you get it. Control skills, man. Picking up the pieces. Control skills, You cannot sign for Sean. Have a good night. This is Gandong. You can't sign for Sean. Don't go there, go sympathy them. They know what they were doing. Their intention was to hang the support of like dirty green pants on the wire. Don't sign for them. Don't bother with all of them. Patrick, you keep coming to us. Because wherever you and Tim go, we will be. Have a good night.
Have a good night, my dear brother. Singing is that a culture song? I think it was. I vaguely recall that song. But my Straight Talk family, if you have just joined me, and if you join me for the first time, it's our Straight Talk that comes to you every Monday and Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. And we entertain your calls, we entertain your emails. Tonight we are discussing the leader of the opposition. The leader of the opposition said he is only fighting for Nevis. Who should fight for St. Kitts? Caller, you're live.
Good evening, Mr. Liburd.
Good evening, my dear brother. Sounds like Carl, is it?
Yes, this is Carl Brown.
Honorable Carl Brown, leader of the opposition.
I'll take that job. I will certainly take that job.
You'll make a good leader, I'm sure.
Yes. And I'm not only looking for the leader of the opposition, I'm looking for Prime Minister. And not only that, I'm looking for just Prime Minister, I'm looking for President. Because I want us to become a republic and get out from under the king. The queen done dead with all she wickedness. We want to get out from under the king because he's going to come with all the wickedness.
But let me ask you a question. I've heard that.
Yes.
I'm not disputing it. But how do you think that would impact lives for the poor man, the bread and butter issues coming republic?
The bread and butter issue is that, Patrick, if we become a republic, right, we don't have to depend on the king and the princess and the princesses, right, and all those other people that have the name brand to them in England. We would have our president, we will have our prime minister, we will have our governor general that is elected by the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and by the constituents. Right? Okay. In time, we will have our own dollar, it will get a lot of licks. Right? But what will be happening, Patrick, if people are not educated and don't know, we'll have the US dollar, we'll have the pound, we'll have the Australian dollar, we'll have the euro, which is high on the market, we'll have all the other currencies, and we still have the EC until we change over to a dollar of St. Kitts Nevis, which is going to be very low at that time. But in time, in number of years, it will fight its way up and become in the top 3 of Caribbean dollars. And if you don't watch it, in the South American and even in the US, it will become a top dollar. We need to get out from under the monarchy. The wicked queen has died. The wicked king has come in place. And people have to talk these things because he's going to follow the trend of his mother. It's like a constitution right there in England, right? And he's going to follow the constitution. Patrick, we need reparation from that king. We need an apology from that king and the people of England for enslaving our forefathers and mothers and aunties and nieces and everybody else that they have killed and murdered compartment or documentary. They went down to Africa and they tricked the black people and they encouraged black people to enslave their own people. This is not something that black people is talking about, you know. The white people, they run on me and just put guns on them and tell them, hey, move in the boat, we're going to the Caribbean, yeah.
Okay, well, I got your point.
They infiltrate the black people with watches, clothes, shoes, all kind of nice things that they never see before. And they went out and catch our black people and bring them to the slave ship. To the white people of England to take them back to different parts of the Caribbean. Nobody will talk about history.
Okay, I got you.
And practically another history is right here.
Okay, we got you. You made the point about becoming a republic, right? But as we speak now,
we need to become a republic.
But that's
the Republic of St. Kitts Nevis and not to England. And do our own thing.
Okay, well, I don't know how that would change the price of bread, but we're talking tonight, though, respectfully, about Her Majesty or His Majesty's loyal opposition. That's what it is. It's a fact, right? And we want to know but how could the leader of the opposition only fight for Nevis? That's our discussion tonight. What do you have to contribute on that? I'll give you 10 seconds.
Wait, the legal opposition now?
The leader of the opposition has declared his intention.
Oh, the leader of the opposition?
Yes.
The leader of the opposition? We know he's firm. We know he's strong.
Yes.
We know he's consistent.
Consistent with fighting for Nevis. What about St. Kitts?
Listen, he's consistent in the federation. We know Dr. Timothy Harris, your leader, is not going to work with him.
Okay.
We know that.
You know my leader. Okay, thanks a lot.
But we know the Honorable Sean is going to work with the leader of the opposition, right? We know your leader, Dr. Timothy Harris, is going to be, is not going to work with the Honorable Brantley of Nevis. Okay, because we know of the war and the battles they have had over the last several months.
Okay, got you. I got you loud and clear. Thanks for your input, my dear brother. I always welcome your interventions. Thanks a lot, Carl Brown.
Yes, and that's what we think. Okay. When it comes to Timothy Harris, you're always on the front line supporting Dr. Timothy Harris. But we all know why.
And good for good reasons. Thanks a lot for your input.
Yes, we all know why.
Yes, he has performed well no matter what the people say. The records will say that, you know. But thanks a lot for your input.
But that's not what the constituents and the communities say.
Well, I mean, there's no question.
Because it has proven in the last election.
Yeah, but there's no question that when it came to the public debt, he dealt with it. There's no question when it came to crime, he dealt with it. There's no question that he managed COVID well. So you can't rewrite history. Those are facts. But thanks again for your input.
He not managed COVID well.
Okay, but thanks.
He got a lot of money out of COVID by forcing people to lose their jobs.
Okay, well, I got you loud and clear. But
right? And to force people to take a vaccine, which we did not need.
Okay, well, I got you. You've tied up this line. I want to get to other people. And thanks for your input. You can
go on to other callers, but those are the facts.
Thanks a lot, but feel free to call back, my dear brother. But opinions are not really facts, though, I must admit. Caller, I want to thank you for holding. You are live. Hello, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night, my dear. How about thou?
I'm good. The caller that's calling talking about Republic. I asked this question already and upon another radio station. When they talk about Republic, are we on our own? Will be on our own? I remember one school teacher, he was the, I forget what I call it now. He said, we have no mighty armies, no ships upon our seas. Our courage is our watchword to priceless liberty. So when we go Republic, who is going to watch our back? They have other big countries are outside there, waiting until this little dot, saying it is on a little dot on the map. When they hear they go Republic, some other big country come in and demand what they want from us. They take our land. When you look, you see this big ship on the sea. It are out, right? And when in the night they come on the spot to see how big St. Kitts is. So when they're talking about Republic, again, we don't have no mighty armies, no ships upon our seas. Our courage is our watchword to priceless liberty. And may we live together in peaceful harmony. There was a music teacher from Keyon teach us that in school. I'll never forget that. And that is over 50 years ago. So, they have to think about these things. Because should we, under the monarchy, as they say, they know the other countries know we are in a group. And if you're in a group and you come out the group and anything happen to you, the group is not going to come and help you. You're on your own. So that is the question I want to ask them all the time. Are we going to be on our own?
Well, you
Let us remember.
a public, you have which supreme power is held by the people, and the people and the elected representative, and they elect or they nominate a president, and really don't have a monarch. But as I quite frankly, I'm not hung up on it really. I understand what the arguments, but at the end of the day, is what will the poor man benefit? You talk about protection and so on, but that's another thing. But we will be part
exactly.
Of it. We have a League of Nations anyway. I will be part of it.
But that is very important protection. I'm not going out in the world and don't have a protection. We need protection. So this is the first thing we're supposed to think about, protection, before we go out there.
Okay.
So so they had to educate the nation more about it, because this is concern.
Have you followed though the discussion on the leader of the opposition? Have you followed though the discussion surrounding or relating to the leader of the opposition, who is the Premier of Nevis? Have you followed that?
Yes, I heard it. The question is, I don't know how that can work out, because the problem is he is the leader of the opposition in the House. Sean and he joined together the campaign under one banner. PLP campaign under another banner. So I don't understand that. How could he be the leader of the opposition?
Well, he has a majority.
I think he has the majority of this. Okay. Yeah. But the thing is that he has the majority of the seats. Yeah, but the problem is that once ago, they had Labour and PLP or whatever, Unity, right? And most likely Labour usually be the leader when Labour was the opposition leader. So now it's three-party running, because it's three-party, I will say Labour, PLP, and Unity and PAM, because they run under one banner. So I don't understand how that work out. Well, and I heard him said that he going to represent Nevis. Wednesday night I hear him throw out something outside there, said that all these three person who in Parliament in Parliament longer than he is Dr. Douglas, Dr. Harris, and Sean. So the rest of them can't tell him nothing. So that's he already showed that outside there Wednesday night. So who gonna represent the opposition lead for St. Kitts? Because he gonna represent Nevis. So who gonna represent St. Kitts? I sure not Sean, because Sean can't represent the little party he was in.
Okay.
So so that's all I have to say. You have a safe night.
Thanks a lot. Well said, my dear. Thank you very much. Sean can't even represent his own party. This email reads, let me get to my emails before I forget them. I never for once believed that Mark ever wanted Sean to become Prime Minister before him, and therefore he preferred to see Labour back in power, since he was working in conjunction with them behind the scenes. If Labour had won 4 seats, CCM would have joined them to form a government, despite the objections by some of their supporters, because Labour was not only power hungry, they were desperate to get back in the seat of government, and it would be an opportune time for Mark to demand the prime ministership. If Sean was paying close attention, that should read, he must have realized that Mark was playing political games with him. When Mark was paying frequent visits to Douglas in St. Paul's, and similarly Douglas visiting him in Nevis, and none of them were hiding. You mean Sean wasn't reading Brantley through the lines? Reads this email. This other email reads, Good evening, Mr. Liburd. Hope you're well rested after your fantastic ministry of giving to the people of East Bastia. My concerns is the situation surrounding our current Governor General, S.W. Tappy Seaton. There will be the opening of Parliament in a few hours. We see that the throne speech won't be given by the Gigi. We, the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, should have been given an explanation as to the status quo of the Gigi. The office of the Gigi should be respected. Please don't let it appear to the world that we are operating a kangaroo court. The leader of the opposition was sworn by the Gigi since October 10th. There was no photos. Announcement was made days later. Reads this other email. And this email reads, Patches, I realized since after the election, some people on these talk shows and also this government stopped talking about things that affect the poor and less fortunate in our country. What about the PAP? People need assistance to cope with their bills and to buy food. All the political parties complain about the PAP. The frontline poor people need something too. It seems like they forget about the less fortunate in our country. Oh, election has gone already. Only at election time, politicians know that the poor and needy are important. They should be ashamed of themselves, reads this email. This other email reads, Brantley is a threat to democracy. That's the caption. Good night, Patches. Greetings from Florida. I'm a new follower of your show. I enjoyed your presentation of your facts regarding the subject matter. Thoroughly enjoyed your show. Keep up the good work. We're helping to hold your hands up. Stay strong. Reads this email. Thanks for that support coming there from Florida. My Straight Talk family, if you have just joined me, it's 24 or 25 past the 9 o'clock hour. And my thesis tonight, it's about the leader of the opposition. Or rather, my actual thesis, I should say, reads that Brantley is a threat to democracy. Now, it is important to note that, and I went back some time ago and gave us an empirical walk, so to speak, as it relates to Mark Brantley and his time coming into politics. And as I said, my thesis is entitled, Brantley is a threat to democracy. And growing up, as I said earlier, and this is for those who may have joined me late, growing up as a young boy, quite often I heard the adage, once a man, twice a child. And this came to mind because when I learned that Mark Brantley was appointed leader of His Majesty's opposition. And I reflected on our way back to 2004. And after the 2004 election, the late Premier Vance Amory commanded the majority support on the opposition benches. But as Premier, he ceded his lofty, important position of leader of the opposition to his deputy then, the late Malcolm Gishard. Gishard died 3 years later, and this triggered a by-election for the federal seat in Nevis 9. Much to the great surprise of many in Nevis, the late Vance Amory recruited a devout secessionist, Mark Brantley, to contest the seat for CCM, which he won in 2007. I'll get back to that, but let's take this call, my Straight Talk family. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Patrick.
My brother.
Patrick.
So, yes, jam down.
But, Patrick, when I listen to some people talking town, you hear? And some of them top people, they talk about the 4 feet. Half of them don't know how the 4 feet come, you know. They don't know how the 4 feet come. You see the juicy? You see the young? You see the blood? You see Jack? You know what the God blessing for you to walk up the port in me? Sanchez, all we bring them 4th Street. They don't chop them down for 4th Street. What's on? China the politics? China is supporting them hang like bucket clothes on the wire right now. Why? That guy should be ashamed. When they don't just dig a hole and bury themselves. They should be ashamed. Ashamed of themselves. Brantley White is doing what he's doing, you know. I have one big problem with he and Vancouver. That is when I sense that something serious happening in Charlestown. Have a good night, Patrick. Have a good night. I'm not telling that here. I don't get it, you know.
Have a good night, my dear brother, as well. Let's go straight back to the lines. It's 29 past the 9 o'clock hour. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller? Hello, caller. Okay, let's take this other call. Caller, you are live.
Yes, Patrick. Yes, I was doing it politics, right? But Mark was supposed to say opposition for St. Kitts and Nevis. But if he says for Nevis, he's a Nevis man. But my father from Nevis too. My father from Touchdown. So I don't know why he talk about Nevis one alone. But that is how politics go. Everybody defending their own island. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your input, my dear sister. I go back to the lines. Are you there, caller? Hello, caller.
Good evening. Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening, Carl.
Carl Brown here again. The Honorable Mark Brantley has to become leader of the opposition because we all know he commands the majority of 3 seats. Right?
You have a radio on in the background? Please turn it off.
Hold on here, hold on.
Please talk.
Yes. The Honorable Patrick Liburd.
Yes, sir.
Our former Honorable, we must say.
Whatever.
We all know the Honorable Mark Brantley. And don't try to put no skin over no people and don't try to throw no water on this. We all know the Honorable Mark Brantley in the last election of this year 2022 commands the majority of 3 seats. The Honorable Timothy Harris had 1 seat from the PLP. The Honorable Sean Richard had 1 seat from PAM. So it's obvious and easy to know that the Honorable Mark Brantley would become the leader of the opposition again.
Can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yes, you could talk to me.
Everything you said is accurate. No one is questioning whether they have a majority of seats and he's the leader of the party. But there was a similar situation, if you listen to the program, and Vance Amory on 2 occasions. In 2004, his party had the majority, and he gave the position to Malcolm Gishard. And when, after the by-election, he gave that same position to Mark. Do you recall that? In 2007.
He gave that to the Honorable Malcolm Gishard
and to Mark Brantley. So what's the point you're making?
Because the Honorable Malcolm Gishard was there, where we could say a historian and a stalwart. So he just gave him the honor and the accolade that is due to him at that moment.
So Alexis Jefferson got his stalwart. But that doesn't make it. I hate to.
Yes, he died suddenly.
Wait.
And there was a by-election.
No, please. It was a by-election. Let's go on, and he gave Mark the same position as a newcomer.
Yes.
Because
the Honorable Malcolm Gishard had died in a drowning down on the beach. Everybody
we know that he died. But the point you're making, that's not the.
Because the Honorable Mark Brantley ran in the election and won, and he had to become the leader of the opposition because he commanded the majority at that time.
He was not the leader. I want to say Vance Amory was the leader of the party.
You don't have to be the leader. You know that, Patrick.
What?
Patrick, you know that.
I don't think you understand. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Right? So then you're saying the same thing I'm saying. So Mark Brantley can see that position because he's the prime minister, the premier. See the position of Alexis Jefferson then. That's what we're saying.
No, you can't determine that. They are to determine in the party who is going to come the leader, who is going to come the opposition leader. You can't determine that, Patrick. It's their party.
I've got your point. Anything else?
Yes. Another thing.
Quickly, please.
Right? What we are looking at here, Mark Brantley is not the problem. Let us look at how we can get the government in Nevis and the government in St. Kitts, the opposition in St. Kitts and the opposition in Nevis to work together to make this country progress and move forward. That is what we have to be dealing with. Okay. We don't need this war. We don't need this fighting and backing between each other. We need the parties to come together to move the country, the federation and the constituencies and the constituents them developing and making progress in these constituencies. That is all we need, Mr. Patrick.
Okay, I got your point. Thanks for.
So we don't need it back and forth, who done this and who done that. Every election, we always hear the government and sometimes the opposition, 1 or 2 members will say, let us proceed with the country forward. That is what we need to do.
Okay, thank you very much for your input. Thanks a lot. But I want to suggest to you, though, it must start with the leader of the opposition. Because the leader of the opposition said to the world that he will only fight for Nevis. And the question we're asking, who will fight for St. Kitts? Because if Mark Brantley understands his role, then as the leader of the opposition, his role is to chair meetings in which the opposition, the entire opposition, discusses policies, examine bills that come to the House, and presents, if at all necessary, alternative strategies to those of the government. He is also expected, amongst other things and other duties, to always act as the chief opposition spokesman. And that, as you're suggesting, must start with Mark Brantley. Democracy is said to be incomplete without opposition. If there's no opposition, then there's no democracy. The opposition is key to a functional democracy. So that is what we are saying to you, my dear brother. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Good night, good night.
Good night, my dear.
Yeah, as Mr. Carbron said, also I will say, we need to give the country a break. Mr. Patrick, the country belongs to all of you, me and you. You people come out of Nevis, just some mine. My grandmother by your father's side, and my grandmother by mother's side. Lord, give the country a little break, now let the country settle. You like a milk, you try to lie a minute, and you ain't even let it settle, so we may just see the puff or this coming on top. Lord, the country a break. We need all of this, you know. We need peace and harmony. I think you're going to get nearly 6 months before you come back on the ear. And, you're dividing. Where we going? You're dividing us, man. We don't hear Dr. Joyce, my Prime Minister, tonight. And whenever he come out, and that's it. Let the country know that you're calling a top thing. We know come to this after election. Everything used to be cool till a couple months after here. People are talking about election again. I want to be the opposition prime minister, premier, that's the business. Because we're going to look for where Dr. George drive, we're going to drive. And if we drop in a hole, we're going to come and pull him out with some water. So we ain't going to stand to no nonsense. Just so we didn't stand into Mr. Timothy. He was driving real good, but he shot the bus over the cliff and everybody broke their neck. Everybody did glad for him in there for real. So you don't pick up and try to hide nothing under the table for him. And he show over the hill. You will watch him typing. You got something coming on there on Facebook. I want to know how they go on a narrow bridge how they could pass. And a big bus passing and another bus and one at the forward. Because it's not wide enough. I beg you to break for here. Last year, 6 months now, come back next year, this time, somebody thank you.
That is your choice, my dear, and you have your choice, and that's what Straight Talk is all about. But it's an insult to criticians for you to say that, because we are an independent people, and we are an intelligent people. So you have your view, and everybody has its view. But one thing I can assure you, though, that there's no democracy without truth. And the truth is controversial. But one thing you'll have here on Straight Talk is the truth. Let's go back to the lines. I'll call you alive. Hello, caller.
Matthews.
My lord.
Matthews.
Yes, sir.
This is the major again.
How is the major?
Yes, I just want to tell you something. I believe you are a Bible student, ain't it? You used to go to Sunday school, ain't it?
Several of them.
Eh? You used to go to Sunday school?
Several of them, yes.
Okay, several. I used to go 5 Sunday school. Sunday school.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm trying to deal with, in the Bible, they say, Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 6, say, foolishness. What is said that foolishness is like someone cripples his own feet. His own feet and harm himself. And if is the one who entrusts in matters to someone is stupid. So let us forget about this stupidness what this fellow is defending about. You're telling him something and he's telling you something else. Something and he's telling you something. What kind of nonsense? He's not listening. He's not listening, and that is the thing I hate. You're making a point and you're not listening, you're just going chatting. Foolishness is someone who cripples his own feet. The Bible tells you that. Read it tonight when you go home, Patrick.
I will do, my
Read
brother.
it tonight when you go
I
home.
will do. Proverbs. Got it.
Proverbs 26 and verse 6.
Lady Tom will be proud of you, man.
Yeah.
Miss Tom will be proud of you.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
okay.
Thanks for your input, Major. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, I want to thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Hi, Patrice.
My dear.
Hello, Patrice.
Yes, you're live.
The caller before this one. If they can't sing, why they don't whistle? That's all I have to say. If they can't sing, why they don't whistle?
Okay.
You take care. Bye-bye.
Have a good night, my dear. You can't sing, whistle. Let's just go back to the lines. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Lady, English is a funny language.
Oh, Lord.
Miss Dairy, English is a funny language. Nobody them there. Them they don't understand nothing. They can't even run the business.
Okay, let's talk around there.
No, we can't go, you know. Can't go playing game. You understand?
You got on the radio.
No,
Jump down.
when you saying, it happened. Yeah.
You have on the radio to jump down.
Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Vance Emery command the leader of the Her Majesty opposition twice.
Yes.
And he gave it away because he never sitting premier. Oh no, what happened?
He gave it to
Look like Jobaton. That's how you look too near the road street people. They don't know about this thing, you know. God bless Cecil Roberts Moonlight. That's a guy. Sweeping and gold. Oh, we had a parliament. Bouncing Williams. We had a parliament. But the parliament gone in the circus now. Have a good night, Patrick. Look at the like Andy Rock from the parliament. Come to the people, Patrick.
Thanks a lot, my brother. You see, what has happened, right, is that we've had, as I said earlier, and I say this without fear of contradiction, we made Kennedy Simmons a national hero and the only living one ever. And he did what was convenient for him to maintain power in 1983 when we went to independence. And he did that to maintain power rather than doing what was morally right. And today, no matter what you will say, 39 years after, there is still anger and bitter disagreement over fundamental issues within our Constitution. And that's what's happening. That is what's happening. We have a government for Nevis, but we don't have a government for St. Kitts. These are issues we must confront them. We must confront them, these issues, and stop burying your heads in the sand. And I can tell you the truth, you know, I am never out of words. 6 months or 3 months, we're going to talk on Straight Talk. Caller, you live.
That's right. That's right, Patrice. Major, you went in Proverbs, boy, but I going in Matthew chapter 7 and verse 5. So let us turn to the Bible and read that. Read that. Who used to criticize on the radio, all over the place, describing Dr. Harris with all kind of derogative name. Some of them name are so deplorable that I wonder if they did not realize that children are listening. Mr. Brantley was the problem. He was the political parasite because long before 2020 election, I was told by people that they don't see him down St. Paul's by Dr. Douglas. Well, he has a right to go where he wants. And then look at the convention what PLP had over Kean. I think it was last year. He was seen, Dr. Douglas was seen up Nevis on the bench. He told them to sit down, short shoulder, touching one another, short shoulder. When Brantley was supposed to be down here to give support to one of his colleagues in Team Unity, all the time that he don't earn more in community. So, who was the cook? Who was the cook there? Who was the problem? He's the problem. Because he's the one who mashed up the country, got the country like this, and bring a premature election. So when people come and talk about he and the problem, he's the problem. Anyway, Ray Charles sing a song say, understanding is the best thing. If you don't understand, you can't talk. To go no further. Patches point shot. Good night, Patches.
Good night, my brother. You know, someone just suggested we should wait for 6 months and then we can talk. So, all hell breaking loose around you, I must put a pin on your mouth. When the party now occupying the government benches in the National Assembly campaigned on the theme, get rid of them. And it's really sad to see that since coming into office, its only focus is on getting rid of the opponents by employing insidious attempts at the personal destruction of people, and many people who have helped to build the country. And these are iniquities we must talk about. When you have a leader of opposition who said he'll only fight for Nevis. So what must we do? Who will fight for St. Kitts? Will he turn a blind eye to all the iniquities? These are some of the questions we're asking. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
I don't care what they say. I go into the House Temple tomorrow with a Marriott.
Wait a moment there. Can you wait a moment for me? Can you wait a moment? Can I ask you a question?
I don't feel it. No, I don't want the question from you. It's so hypocritical.
Yeah, but if you're gonna come on the program, I'll have to entertain a question from me, right? If you don't want to hear what we're saying, then you just lock off your radio, lock off whatever you're listening to, and don't call the telephone. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Yes, me. Patrick, Star Brown here again. Patrick, you would remember back before 2015, the Honorable Mark Brantley was the leader of the opposition.
In 2007, yes.
Eh?
In 2007.
Yes.
Yes, I remember. I answered the question, yes.
Yeah, ask me any question.
I said I answered your question.
Yes. And you would remember that the Honorable Malcolm Gishard had drowned down on the beach, and there was no autopsy performed on his body.
But please, where are we going with that here? I just
telling you on that point.
No, please. I don't know whether an autopsy was found or carried out on his body or not. The fact here, we are discussing a particular issue about the opposition leader. Where does this autopsy thing come in tonight? How is it relevant?
We are just showing you how the Honorable Brantley got into the parliament.
But that's immaterial. He died, and then they had a by-election, and Mark won.
Yes, the Honorable Mark Brantley won.
So go from there. So what about autopsy?
Yes.
So the autopsies don't arise. But go ahead.
So what is the confusion now? The Honorable Mark Brantley have the majority of the seat.
But you have a confusion.
Why are you debating? Because the Constitution tell you all the person that commands the majority of the seat would be the opposition leader with the support of the members. You're not a package.
What is your dispute? Because we don't have a dispute. Do you have a dispute?
Yeah, I have a dispute.
Okay, well, that's all. Anything else?
Right? Yes. And I would say to you all, right? If the Honorable Timothy Harris, the members of Unity, even 50% of what they were requesting, we wouldn't have Labour in government. Unity would have been in government. Unity would have win the next election in 2025 and left Labour in opposition.
Okay.
Dr. Timothy Harris
in his rearing, right? Deceitful way, and he plundered his head and trying to kill Pam. Well, he killed Pam, but the mistake he made, Mr. Patrick, he didn't bury Pam, he didn't kill Pam, and he did not burn Pam. So Pam will be resurrected, and Pam will form the government again.
All right, thanks a lot for your input.
And that's the problem that happened. And we all know I'm gone.
Thanks a lot for your input, my dear. I trust that you are correct with your prediction, but based on empirical data, that will come perhaps in the next 15 or 20 years. Caller, you are live.
Sergeant.
My lord.
How are you tonight?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
When I talk here, I step on me, but it seems like them people who come there, they want to throw you up, right? They look like they really want.
The truth is controversial. The truth is controversial.
They look like they want to get some lot and throw you up.
The truth is controversial, my brother. Don't worry.
But listen here. What you're saying is true, you know? Who can look after saying these people? And I'm going to, I came here out and I tell them, when they're going around like a chin bam bakalele, at Timothy Harris, they want to keep out of it, you know? At him, they want to keep out.
Okay, my brother.
Mr. Patel.
My lord.
You stay put to hear me.
Will do.
What you doing? You're doing what is right. Do not turn your face and go nowhere. Hold on to the rope.
Okay, my brother.
There are people, there are poor people who want to know what's going on. I'm going to say something, you know. But listen here. You see the God in high heaven, holy word? And all these things will happen. This on your eye open. This on your eye open.
Yes.
And one last thing I'm going to tell you. What a man
so shall he reap.
You're going to reap.
Thanks a lot, my
I'm going to ask you this question. Listen here, I'm going to ask you a question. Do a cockroach go into a phone?
I got you, my brother. I got you loud and clear. Thanks a lot for your input. Thanks a lot for your input. That's the Bible man. Patches, do we have journalists and reporters in St. Kitts and Nevis read this email, or just people who want to be friends of the government? They are not asking real important questions about the promises they made to the people. I was listening to a radio station a few weeks ago, and the Prime Minister was on. The host asked him 3 questions he said people sent to him to ask the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister answered 2 and ignored the one about the passports for the prison. The host didn't even say, Mr. PM, you didn't answer one of the questions, the one about the prison. He just moved on to something else. He didn't want to put the Prime Minister on the spot because he wants to be his friend. What a joker. Read this email. This other email reads, Mark Brantley from the beginning never ever had any concern about St. Kitts. He only thinks about himself and the money. Although he knows it's unprincipled to receive 3 salaries, he will be getting an additional salary or some form of remuneration for the position of leader of the opposition. I am wondering how that fellow feels now, the one who hired boats and paid substantial sums of money back and forth from Nevis to St. Kitts, saying he campaigned for a movement. Well, Mark has thrown Sean on the scrap heap of history for his foolish decision he made in breaking up Team Unity, reads this email. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Yes, Mr. Liburd, good night.
Good night, my brother.
Yeah, I didn't plan to call in, but after listening to two of the callers, right? He gave me some little insight. You should ask Mr. Cal Brown. It was Mr. Joseph Parry was the Premier of Nevis. I never hold opposition seat in the Federation.
Say that again. Repeat the question.
Mr. Joseph Parry. Mr. Joseph Parry was the Premier of Nevis.
Yes, he was.
And he never hold as the opposition leader in the House of Parliament Federation.
I don't recall.
He never won the hold as the opposition leader in the Parliament.
I don't think he was ever on the opposition benches.
Because he always said he wanted to stick into Nevis and see about the Nevis affairs. Right? And the Honorable Mr. Emery Vance Emery, who wanted to be on the grave, he was the Premier, and then he handed over the thing to Mr. The one who died, Mr. Gishard. He handed over that yet to Mr. Gishard as still being the Premier of Nevis. And when Mr. Gishard died, Mr. Brantley took up that mantle, won his seat, and he was the opposition leader. And now that he was out and become the Premier of Nevis, he was supposed to be able to stick with the premiership in Nevis and hand it over to Mr. Jeffers and let Mr. Jeffers be the opposition leader. Even though they're saying, you see what the Constitution said. The Constitution who said it in, but it left to the Governor General to appoint who is fit to be the leader of the opposition. It was in Mark hand already to be the leader of the opposition, and he got into him as the leader of the opposition. What are he telling the people of St. Kitts? He do not allow petition. He's going to fight for Nevis. And that is the whole ballgame. You are telling the people, and some of us see it and still talking nonsense.
Okay, my brother, thanks for your input.
But if he's going to look after Nevis, who's going to look after St. Kitts?
Sure.
And that's the question you throw out.
Simple question.
And up to now, some people see it and chatting rubbish. Okay. And everybody wants to know why he should make a statement like that. He's going to look out for the people of Nevis and what happened to the people of St. Kitts. And he's going to be the opposition leader. That's the question being thrown out, and some of them just chatting ignorance. You have a good night.
Have a good night, my brother. Thanks for your input. And like I said, I did not fabricate it. This is what he said. And just for in the event for those who may not have heard it, Mark Brantley accepted the call or the appointment by the Governor General to be leader of the opposition. And in the process, this is what Mark Brantley said.
And to engage respectfully with whoever occupies the chair of Prime Minister in Bastille, to say to them that the people of Nevis deserve to be treated equally in this federation, deserve their fair share of the resources of the federation, and deserve the full fruits of their citizenship. I have said it, and I will continue to say it, that there are no second-class citizens here on the island of Nevis. My intention is to fight as I've always fought for the people of Nevis, and to engage respectfully with whoever occupies the chair of Prime Minister in Bastille, to say to them that the people of Nevis deserve to be treated equally in this federation, deserve their fair share of the resources of the federation, and deserve the full fruits of their citizenship. I have said it, and I will continue to say it, that there are no second-class citizens here on the island of Nevis.
Neither there are there any on St. Kitts? And that's the question I ask. If, as opposition leader, you'll fight for the people of Nevis, and I'm asking the question, I asked the question, who will fight for the people of St. Kitts? Patches, you need to be honest in your discussion, reads this email. Timothy did his wrong, and you're not talking about it. It was your program that started questioning whether team unity would survive. Go and revive your previous programs. You have to be honest and address all parties. Stop criticizing just Sean and Mark. Timothy became greedy, and that is what caused the downfall of unity. Well, that is your view, and you are entitled to your view on Straight Talk. Caller, you're live. I'll take these two final calls. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Okay, I'm not hearing that caller. Are you there, caller? Hello, caller. Okay, I think that's the way we're gonna end it tonight, my Straight Talk family, because my time is done and I've got to run. Dr. Drew, as I said earlier, promised a new day and a better way. And according to his Attorney General, the CBI would be restructured. And I say, I tell you the truth, as I've always done. Abba, no better than Saba. I don't have to wait 6 months to say that. And I say so now because just on the weekend, I saw a flyer. They were advertising our CBI at a roadshow that will apparently include Her Excellency Rosalind Hazel, or Hazel, Ambassador at Large for St. Kitts and Nevis and Canada. That was a state secret. We didn't know about that. In of all places in Nigeria, one of the most corrupt countries in West Africa. That is how we restructure the CBI. Yes, a new way, and a new day, and a better way. My people, I also looked at the CBI, and I continue to ask the question about of the 1,500 citizenship applications that Drew signed since taking office, and he has not responded. Why is this a state secret? We hear as well about more than 30,000 passports already sold under the program since 1984. The country needs to know. And my main point tonight was that Brantley is a threat to democracy in the country. And I stand by it because my family, Mark Brantley, as the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition, would now be like a big rattlesnake in Parliament. And I use that metaphor to warn Prime Minister Drew that Brantley is a hidden danger. For that reason, I must add that Mark Brantley is a threat to democracy in St. Kitts. How could the leader of the opposition only fight for Nevis? If Brantley understands his role, then he must chair meetings in which the opposition discusses policies, examines the bills, and presents alternative strategies to those of the government. He is also expected to always act as the chief opposition spokesperson. Democracy is said to be incomplete without opposition. If there is no opposition, there is no democracy. Opposition is a key to a functional democracy. Nothing Brantley says should convince us that he'll do his best. My Straight Talk family, I say it and I close with this warning to Prime Minister Drew. Examine what Mark Brantley said about Timothy Harris and Sean Richards, and you will conclude that Brantley is a threat to our democracy. That's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. I say thank you to all who listen on social media. First of all, I must say thank you to Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight. And as always, I say thank you to all who listen on social media, be it Facebook or YouTube, or those on Win FM Radio 98.9, our sister station. For those of you who call, those of you who just listen, those of you who send emails, remember, all of you, irrespective of your views, whether they are at variance with mine, you are the ones who make Straight Talk. And I say a big, big thank you. Until we connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. And remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you must believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye until we connect on Thursday.
That I will achieve, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow.